Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to talk just for a second because I think we should really just get into the panel and start talking about these issues with Emily and others. I was trying to think of what I really wanted to say in remarks, but I write a lot about this, and I've been covering Silicon Valley for 25 years. And there's just a few ideas I want you to get in mind before we start this. Yesterday, there was a piece in the Times by Chris Hughes, who was one of the early people at Facebook, a very early person. He wasn't around for a lot of what's happened since. But he was, it really struck a lot of people because he was a founder, and it was quite a strong statement that he felt that Facebook should be broken up. It was something to see, to have a founder do that. He also talked about the unprecedented power of Mark Zuckerberg and the fact that what was going on at Facebook, and I thought it was pretty dramatic, was un-American. It was meant to be shocking, and it was, and I think a lot of people, it pays a lot of attention to something that we've all been talking about. A lot of us have been talking about, which was the growing power of the tech giants over the last decade. From very adorable, smart people to people that might be very dangerous for democracy. It was encapsulated by the 2016 election, which I think we're still trying to sort out and sort out what to do about it. So there's just a couple ideas we need to think about that are critically important to understanding what's going on. And I want to start by quoting an interview I just did with Tristan Harris from the Center for Humane Technology. He had originally gotten a lot of attention talking about addiction and about the issues around, he was an engineer for Google, a product manager, and had a company that Google bought. And he was trying to explain to people using just the addiction part of it, how much we are pulled into these devices and everything else, just like cigarettes or sugar or anything else. I mean, it got a lot of attention because that's sort of an interesting newspaper-worthy topic, but he was talking about a lot more than just the fact that we can't put down our cell phones or we can't be part of them, and they are programmed to keep us addicted and in the loop of outragification is what he calls it. I want to read this quote, and then I want to talk about a couple quick things and then get right to the panel. I think the tech industry, this isn't within a podcast I just did, it appeared on Monday. I think that the tech industry, it's very hard to understand your power because there you are. You're a Gmail engineer or you're a Facebook news feed engineer, and you're just writing some lines of code every day. You don't think it's going to influence genocide happening in Myanmar or influence politics of France or populism around the world. The whole point of this big new agenda that they're launching, which is called the Humane Agenda, it's really called downgrading humanity while computers get upgraded, is to say we need to move from this disconnected set of grievances and scandals, that these problems are seemingly separate: tech addiction, polarization, outragification of culture, the rise of vanities, micro-celebrity culture, everyone has to be famous. These are not separate problems. They're actually coming from one thing, which is the race to capture human attention by tech giants. With increasingly powerful AIs pointed to your brain to reverse engineer what I can throw in front of your nervous system to crawl down your brainstem and get something out of you, whether it's an ad click or an addiction or a political convergence or whatever. This is all part of one connected system. It's called human downgrading, which is the social climate change of culture. And just like these ice cabs, it's like, oh, these are disconnected. It's like, no, they're not disconnected. These are all connected issues. So we have to have a unified agenda, and we have because it's the only way it's going to change what is an urgent problem. I know that sounds rather dire, but I actually think that Tristan was underscoring how important it is that we act now and understand what's happening just the way we haven't done with climate change. And there's a few key elements you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about this and what we should do. First is an idea that I put out all the time, and I say it over and over again, and I'm sort of like Donald Trump this way. I repeat things over and over again, except they're factual, so that you get it into your head. The first one and most critical thing to think about going forward with a lot of new technologies that are coming, because the next technologies are coming are massively different and world-changing in a way that hasn't come before. We've had a lot of amazing innovations in the past 10 years, but what's coming is so much bigger in terms of what's going on, and they encompass everything from AI to automation to robotics to changes in how we move around places, transportation, and they're and to healthcare, to all kinds of things, to food, that are much different than just Tinder apps and Ubers and things like that, which are also massive changes. There's 2 or 3 ideas you need to keep in mind. One is that everything that can be digitized will be digitized. I cannot stress that enough. It is a very big idea that every job, every utterance, every behavior can be digitized, and it will be. It is a natural inclination to think that we, as humans, we can resist this, but we really can't, because most things can be better done by AI and computers. A lot of jobs, a lot of thoughts, a lot of decision making. And so you have to think about what that means if everything is going to be digitized, what power we have as humans. The second thing I always talk about is the idea of who's making this technology and how we're going to think about it going forward. And I always, one of the people talk about Silicon Valley as a meritocracy, and that they're doing everything because they're so smart and everything else. That what's happened in Silicon Valley and what it's degenerated into is a mirrortocracy. It's a small group of people talking to each other, and they're the same people, they're the same demographics, which is to say, essentially young white men making determinations about our society. They're massive. The reason we've had so many problems on these platforms, and having lived with these people for so long, is because most of the people designing these systems are, one, entirely incapable of understanding the bigger social problems behind them. I joke that if Mark Zuckerberg took a humanities course, we might all be in a better place right now, but he didn't. And that they also have no sense of what they're doing, not in a malevolent way, that they really don't understand the implications of what they're doing. I'd urge you to listen to an interview I did with Mark this year, where I tried very hard to get him to understand the impact of his inventions on places like Myanmar and India. He was entirely incapable, not that he's not a nice guy, he's a lovely guy. He was entirely incapable of trying to grok the mistakes that were made at Facebook and what he could do to solve them. The last idea I think you should get in mind is that these people, as smart as they are, really, truly do not have the answers and seem wanting very much to push it off their plates. They have created what I call, I always try to come up with metaphors of what's happening, and I think this is really the best one. People come up with cigarette companies, they come up with chemical companies and things like that. What has happened is that these companies, especially Facebook and Google, and you can't leave Google out of this. Facebook gets a lot of the flack, but Google is right there with all kinds of things that they're doing, especially on YouTube, that are problematic. They've created these giant digital cities that we all occupy. And cities have their issues, and everyone has their problems with traffic and all kinds of stuff like that. But in general, they have working societies that we all live in and work in together despite all kinds of problems. But what they have done is created these digital cities, these public squares that are not public, they are private. They are private cities where we all live in, we all communicate, we all buy things, we all interact with each other on an increasingly partisan basis, except they collect all the rents that we pay in these cities, and we live there. But the problem is they've declined to provide police, fire, garbage, sewers, signs, or almost anything else, and let us day to day figure this out for ourselves in ways that are incredibly confusing while we're being bombarded by all kinds of things they decline to regulate in any way. And so the last idea I want to think about is what to do about this. And I think it would be great if that's what we talk about on this panel, is what to do. Because it's really well past time that our regulators start getting involved the way they started getting involved with all kinds of industries. This has happened before in our history. But do it in the way that is the smartest way to preserve innovation and to keep going with what is the most astonishing the most astonishing innovation in human communications in all of its history. And when you pause to think about what's gone on in the past 20 years, you really do have to sort of have some marvel at what's gone on and the kind of things we're doing. But we haven't put into place the kind of guardrails and other things that are necessary to really bring these amazing technologies to fore. And we're very much in danger without those guardrails, without the ideas of how we should manage it, and allowing these companies just to sort of do whatever they feel like. To squander what's so great about them. So I'd love to talk about that and what we're doing. I have lots of different ideas of what to do, and I'm sure others do. And I think that's what we want to talk about. Right. Cool.